Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Boss Lady Live. Good evening, friends. We're going to give it a few minutes as usual to pick up. Let me see if I can find some lovely songs in my arsenal
Yeah.
to get the mood going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me find the song that started my whole thought process.
To start the series.
Absolutely. India. Okay. Born Steady Love.
Big tune that, Sandra.
Big tune. Where's it saying? No, not yet. Hold on there. Nope, not. Hi, girl. Welcome. Like and share. Join us. We'll be having a conversation about dating in the 21st century.
Mm-hmm. So steady.
Who wants that kind of love? Who is interested in that kind of love? Steady love. You are super excited, so are we.
Yes, it's gonna be good.
It's gonna be great. Please share with your friends so that we can have a nice, robust discussion. Share with your friends. Tell them that we're online. We're going to be talking real stuff this evening.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing women are looking for, men are searching for it too. Everybody wants their spirit to be touched. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be cherished. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a female thing.
Absolutely. It's a human thing.
It's a human thing. Okay. All right, I think we can start now. Good evening, good evening, good evening, friends. Welcome again to Boss Lady Live. I'm Sandra Samuel, CEO of Totally Mail. And as usual, I want to bring the real conversation to the table so that, you know, people tend to want to believe that it's okay to settle, right? So we want to bring this conversation to the table. Is it okay to settle? Is it okay to be single? If we want a relationship, how do we get one? How do we find ourselves in a secure relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this evening it's my pleasure. I'm excited to bring to you this evening this wonderful, beautiful woman. She's a relationship specialist. She is Kamala McQuinney. Very sexy name.
That is good. Very
I
rich.
just want to welcome her to Boss Lady Live because we talk about things that on Boss Lady Live, right? We don't hold back anything, and we
Mm-hmm.
encourage you to, ask whatever questions you want to ask because it's all about solutions. My program is about solutions, getting the information that you need, that you want and you're maybe shy to go out and get it. So let us
Absolutely.
welcome Kamala. Just
Thank you
tell us
so
a little
much,
bit about
Sandra.
yourself.
So I'm
Take
really
your lead.
excited to be here. I
Yes.
am so proud of this initiative that you've started. I believe all the spaces that talk about love in a sensible, leveled up way, as I like to call it, are valuable, and we need more of them. So big ups to you for starting it. I'm excited to be here. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Kamala McWhinney. I go by White Lotus Blooms on social media. I am a breast cancer survivor. So Sandra and I are survivor sisters. So this is the face of living your best life, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm an associate clinical psychologist and a wellness consultant and also a relationship coach. And I like talking sensible argument, right?
Absolutely. Adult sensible conversation.
Yes.
Right. So what we want to do, okay, so we're talking about dating in the 21st century, and it's not like back in the day. Well, you won't know much about back in the day, but back in the day, I mean, not much information was out there. You leave your mother house, you get married. I mean, now you have so much options. Women are
Mhm.
not in the house anymore. Everybody's working. Everybody pretty much is on equal footing. So, women don't have to be, stay at home or,
Mhm.
unless it's your choice. So I want to talk about how do we go about getting into that relationship that we really desire. And, all of these different things out there. I mean, twosome, threesome,
All kind
um,
of thing.
it's an open, I mean, persons that no longer have a gender, persons are in same-sex marriages, same-sex unions. I mean, what now qualifies as a relationship? Because back in my day, I mean, certain things were hush hush. You probably would hear a little thing here or there, but no, everything is in the open. Everything is on social media. You're dating, somebody texts you. I'm not a texter. I'm grown. So for a man to call to trying to get into my DM and texting me, I want to have a conversation. I want to hear your tone in your voice. I want to, I want to hear words. So, dating as a young person versus dating as a older, more mature, woman or man who knows what they want. How do we navigate this maze? Because I think of it as a maze because
Mhm.
it's really tough out there
It
being
is.
single myself.
Yes.
Yes,
It's definitely rough in the dating street, Sandra.
very
Um,
very rough out there.
yeah,
Very rough.
man.
So
And you
just
raised some.
let us just give us like an overview where to start. Just and what a relationship is, what love is. Let's
Mhm.
just start the conversation.
No problem, sis. So I love how you started it at, what do we really want and
Right.
what means what? Because you see that whole thing of what means what? What to you is a relationship might be different from what I consider a relationship. So I feel like we have to start the conversation with two kinds of honesty.
Right.
One is honesty with self. What do I truly want? And you mentioned the word settling because sometimes we really want X, but because of the pressure, whether it's age wise or whether we feel like no good man, no left, or whatever it is, I call it scarcity mindset kind of
Right.
thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We sometimes just say, well, it's not 100% what I wanted, but I'm going to make it work.
Him have 80 or
Yeah,
70.
yeah,
And
man,
everybody tells you 80 is
79%.
a good number, a good
Yes,
round number.
absolutely. So it's important to be honest with self. And me as a relationship coach, I actually advocate for men and women to actually take pencil and paper or journal or digitally and literally write down, what do I want? Which of these things are non-negotiables, Sandra? So some of
Right.
them we can flex on, some of them are core, and
Right.
all of us need to enter the dating space. You see, if we don't have that, I don't think we're ready for the dating space
Right.
because then we're more likely to have confusion within ourselves, and we're more likely to settle, and we're more likely to confuse the dating space. You know,
All right.
I,
So when you say that now, Kamala, back up a little bit.
mhm.
Do we really know though? what we want. That is the challenge. How do we know that we really don't know what we want? I mean, you keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again. You keep on choosing the same man, just a different shape, a different height, a different size. But if you notice, you keep on selecting the same type.
Yes.
So is it that we really know what we want, or we need to do some self-work?
We absolutely need to do
And
self-work.
how do we go about that?
So I am big on, number one, spending time with ourselves. I came across this meme on social media that says, before we go into the love up space, we actually need to want to spend the rest of our lives with ourselves first. And I want to lick me hot because oftentimes we enter the dating space. I want somebody to complete me. I want somebody to make me happy. My life is okay, but once I get booed up or baed up or married, then I'm going to be happy. Then my life will really start. And that that is problematic in and of itself. We have to be intentional about living our best lives first and foremost, right? Because this whole thing of looking for somebody to make us anything at all is problematic. You understand? So we have to
own it. Burden too on the other person to have to make you happy. They're the ones who made you sad.
Yes.
They're the ones that need to make you want to get up in the morning. That is also very rough as well. It's burdensome. It's onerous.
It's an unfair pressure to place on somebody else.
Right.
And so we have to start, Sandra, I mean, some people think it's the unsexy part of relationship, coaching or whatever, but we can't start no deep conversation about, how to speak to the person, DMs and whatever, until we start off, first of all, understanding who we are. And that the part they're rough enough away, because a lot of us don't like spending time with ourselves. A lot of us don't love our own company. So the introspection work that should be a part of our self-development kind of gets shoved through the window. So we have to be comfortable. And then now we can have the conversations about our standards.
Aye. The big word there.
That's the next piece of the story. And I love talking about standards, Sandra, because I came across this negotiation coach. And he said that we do not get what we deserve. We get what we negotiate. Tweet. Somebody said, right?
Ladies, you're hearing that? Gentlemen, you're hearing that?
We do
get what we negotiate.
Not what we deserve. Because we can deserve everything that is good in our mind, but we don't show up in a way being honest, right? And standing in our power, I call it. We kind of say, well, I really want to be faithful and I want that. But good man hard to find, or this woman is everything, so I don't want to lose her, so I'm going to flex. And we end up resenting the other person. And we end up resenting ourselves. And the relationship already has one leg that is not working before we even start. So we have to do that. And then now, Sandra, apart from the standards piece, which is a whole conversation by itself, which we can delve into some more, you see, after the standards part now, you can set the standards from now until Jesus come back. But if you're not standing up for the standards, that's a whole other thing.
And that's where many of us fall down.
Because we know what we want or we have an idea, but then because of desperation or because of fear that, I don't want to get left behind. So
and you have 2 children or 3 children already.
Listen, and your age gone off of the calendar and you want the baby, right? Or your family are pressure you as a man to say, so what, you're bored man?
Or he really earns the bulk of the money, or she really earns the bulk of the money. So nobody wants to, or we are already invested in this house. Nobody wants to pull up and leave this house.
Yes, that part, Sandra. So if you're already together with somebody, it can be hard to backtrack. And I'm not trying to be a hypocrite, it's hard to backtrack and say, boy, so this is not my vision. And to make a change, to say, I'm going to stand up for the life that I deserve, especially when children are involved, when shared assets are involved. It can be hard, But the question is now, Sandra, are we going to stay in a situation because we spend so much time making the mistake? Is that a good rationale? To say, boy,
that most of us end up extending the mistake.
Yes, absolutely. So we have to start off there. So
One of my our viewers says it is a business. A relationship is like a business. You have to negotiate.
Have to negotiate. And importantly too, Sandra, we teach people how to treat us.
All right. So many of us grew up in a single parent home or no parent home.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go up and seeing mommy and daddy having that negotiating exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Where we learn it? Where do we learn it? How do we learn this skill? I mean, everywhere I turn, every book I read, every TV show I watch, it says communication is the key.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? How do I communicate? Where I learn it? How I learn it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how we move from there, Doc? How we all move from there?
So you raise a good point, Sandra, in that a lot of us didn't grow up with the image, with the experience of having two parents, so we can't even know what it looks like. And I don't think many people realize how much it's important to have the example before us to better equip us to be able to replicate it. You understand? Right. So many of us are scared of relationships and we don't even know, because a part of us feel like, I don't really know how to be together with somebody, because we never have that early blueprint. So now people talking about self-help a lot. Now is the time now, Sandra, where we have to be intentional. We learn how to speak Spanish, even though we may not have learned it in school. We learn how to do all kind of things on social media. We have to learn and teach ourselves. Tap into programs like this, you understand? Buy books and read about the how, if we never had it as an early experience. Because trust me, trying to create something that we never saw can be difficult,
And also, speaking for myself, many of us grow up. I mean, I know it's a harsh word and people don't like to hear it or ascribe it to themselves, but most of us grow up damaged. We grow up damaged. So for me, I spent years and money and counseling just to get that father hole filled in, because I had issues with my dad. I had issues trusting men. I had, still have.
Working.
Issues, working, still a work in process, work in progress. Still have issues understanding how what males want, what men want. So you say you want X, you try to be X, or you are X, but somehow it doesn't seem to be enough, And then it's with your self-esteem that is low already.
Yes, miss.
Right? And so it's constant work to stay above the water.
Yes.
And to navigate this thing called a relationship that you desire. Because it is a desire of mine. But I've been single for very long because I am unwilling to settle. And I can show you many women who are in the same situation. But then you're being labeled as picky. You don't want a body. You're too strong. You're independent. I thought independence was a good thing. So I don't have to burden you. So how do we become?
I love it.
and be in a manageable relationship?
So Sandra, you touched on a very important point there, and it has to do with the experiences that we've had early out in our lives. And this is the other unsexy part of relationships that people don't love to talk about, because people just want to feel the love and the hormones and the butterflies. But the reality is, if you meet a good man or a good woman tomorrow, if you meet a good prospective partner, and them bodies stay good until everlasting, right? And they meet so many of your checklist items. If we are not careful to investigate, lovingly investigate where they have been in terms of their childhood experiences, what kind of trauma they have, what kind of trauma they work through or have not even confronted, what kind of trauma they have worked through, then we are in problem, no matter how everything else look good on paper. Because the reality is, Sandra, as human beings, we repeat what we don't heal.
Did you hear that, people?
Sandra,
Friends are preaching tonight. Say that again, Kamala.
We repeat what we don't heal.
We repeat what we do not heal.
Mm-hmm. And
Last
therefore,
one.
it's deep. It's real.
It's real.
It's real. And so, Sandra, early to your point that you made earlier at the start, we end up dating a similar person. You just have a different name, or she have a different name. You understand? And then come from somewhere, but it's the same person we're dating. Because because of our issues, we end up subconsciously or unconsciously attracted to a particular type and attracting a particular type to ourselves. Case in point, let me get personal. So similar to you, I had issues in terms of having a father wound because my father left the country when I was 11. And even before he left, we were not very close. You understand? So what happened now, Sandra, with me is that I had this unspoken grief that I never know where it's coming from. You understand? I'm going to plug in my laptop, Sandra. I completely forgot that part of the story. Okay, so good. The plug is right here. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I just had this unspoken, I just had issues. You understand? I never know. I was sad, and there was this constant feeling of me just not being lovable. Like, Kamala, you're hard for love. Who teach me that, Sandra? The experiences taught me that. It influenced my thinking about myself. Added to that now, when I touched maybe early 20s, I literally started to study psychology. And it's like I got a big revelation. It's like I said to myself, but Kamala, don't you realize that you are attracted to emotionally unavailable men? Because your father was emotionally unavailable.
Absolutely.
And it was like something come straight out of the sky.
Yes.
Because, and it's deeply psychological, what we see in our formative years, Sandra, it influences what we consider to be normal. And it teaches us things about ourselves, whether it's good things or bad things, whether it's accurate or not. We walk away learning that, oh, so I can't make a man stay. My father never even stay when I was younger. You understand? If your father never choose you, why you feel like an man choose you? You understand?
Yes.
And therefore, now it influences what we consider to be attractive and normal. Because you have one big theory in psychology named repetition compulsion, which really speaks to the fact that many of us, if we don't do the work, the emotional work, we end up repeating cycles year in, year out, year in, year out. We keep choosing the same circumstances to have the same experiences. And if those were traumatic early experiences, Sandra, we're a serious problem. Because we keep on, and then we create the stories behind it. Oh, I just like the bad boys, it just let me feel sexy, Something just, But what it is you don't feel like you're enough. And therefore, you are choosing men who are very likely to reject you to confirm your theory that you are not enough. So you're so right, Sandra. There's so much emotional work. That is why I love spaces like these. So we can spread the message and say, let's call each other to healing. Because if we're not healed, we have no business dating anybody.
Absolutely. Because you have to be whole in order to be able to live with another human being happily. Let me qualify that. Anybody can live with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But to live happily, we have to be whole because we cannot depend on the other person to make us happy. We have to be happy within ourselves, and then we come together as a union and make life.
A healthy space, yes.
And both of us come together now and bring up these nice children, these nice balanced children.
Thank you very much.
Outside of that, it's literally impossible. This thing called unequally yoked, what does that really mean?
Mm-hmm. So the term, many of us know the term from scripture.
Right.
And even in that context, I think we tend to misunderstand it or misinterpret it. So pretty much it means when two people are just not compatible. is where I take it from. It could mean any kind of compatibility for you, but it means if you don't have an equal set of standards, equal mindset, and other things. It could be equal education, but for some people, it's not a huge deal. You understand? So I just like to think of it, especially in these spaces, as just not being the best, the most compatible.
Right.
Now,
So
Sandra,
yes, go ahead.
that now boils down to what your standards are. And I want to also make the distinction here between standards and wish list items. Because sometimes the man, according to we, and I'm talking about the man because we're women and, I can speak from that place. So we said the man must be 6 feet 2, not even 1 inch below, to be 189.295 pounds, right? Exactly that, not even 1 pound less. Him have to have a combination of honey, chocolate, molasses skin. He's supposed to earn 7 figure, not even $1,000 less than the 7 figure. He's supposed to live up in the rare. He's supposed to, and some of
You have
these
a particular type of car?
miss, and some of these things are not core to the man's character. You understand? And so some
Absolutely.
of those really are wish list items. But it's important to start from a place of standards and then be wise. Sometimes the hormones are pumping and the person really captures us, but be wise and figure out, do I have the emotional intelligence or the patience? For example, if I am a saver, I'm good with money. Can I really marry or live with somebody who them just make it rain upon people, then just spend out the money? If I am excessively neat,
Very difficult.
and difficult doesn't mean impossible.
Behind the 8 ball before you even start.
And Sandra, difficult doesn't mean impossibly, no. But we have to be mindful that it takes more work the farther apart we are on compatibility, poles. It takes more intentionality. It doesn't mean it can't work, because I know people. I have a couple friend, and the wife is always on time and the husband ever late.
Right.
And somehow they make it work. You understand? But it's important to think down the line. Don't think of, my body feel good in the moment. Think about long term.
But they say men are visual, right? I mean, although my experience with speaking to some of my friends or in my 25 years of interaction with men, I find that men have certain goalposts in their life. This is my experience.
Mm-hmm.
I promised myself I'd get married at 40 or I'll get married at 30.
Mm-hmm.
I want, she would make a good mother for my children. She would make a good wife. The wife have to go to church. They have certain benchmarks that she must meet. She must go to church. Yet still,
Mm-hmm.
they'll have a woman that what I like to call sweet them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything about her, I mean, he's so happy and bubbly around her, but because she's not quote unquote in his mind, I find safety. I find safe is really high. Loyalty, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and it's only their impression of the person. If she's so and so, she doesn't fall in that category. If she don't go to church, she's not safe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She going to have man with me.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's big. Right? So they want to try to find someone who they'll marry who won't cheat on them, or they think won't cheat on them, or they think that this person, no matter what, she will stay with me. She need to be a little bit dependent so that if anything happens, she won't be quick to run off.
Mm-hmm.
I remember having a conversation. I had 4 chairs, and the 4 chairs were filled in the barber room.
Mm-hmm.
And I was having a conversation to say that how I look at relationships is that I would rather someone wants me than needs me.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an array of age. There was a minister, religious minister. There was someone in his 30s, and there was another person maybe in his 40s, maybe near 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them, 100%, they said they don't want no woman that want them. They want somebody to need them, because if you want them and you can just jet off when you're ready, that's not comfortable for them at all. I
Mm-hmm.
found that shocking. Why would you want somebody that needs you?
Sandra, it's so telling. And let me tell you something. I had a summit yesterday, a relationship summit. I'm going to share the
Yes,
replay with you.
yes,
And
please.
we had a panel of young men, youngish men, right? And
Yes,
we had a similar experience of hearing some of the men's truths, and some of the women were like,
yes,
what? My sister, in closing out the session, as her final gem, she said, listen, sometimes we wake up and say we want to hear what the men really think and really feel. And when they tell we can't deal. So it's already good to hear what their thoughts are, whether we agree with the thoughts or not, and whether we are agreeing that this person is ideal for me or not. But it's important, Sandra, to have these open, honest, and oftentimes difficult conversations early out, before the lovey-dovey and the deep connection start. Because you see, when you jump in, right, and you find that out later in the story, and you're already feeling the love feelings and you want to take him last name or whatever, it can be difficult to manage because you're already invested.
right.
But we shied away from asking honest questions. Like, number one, are you into monogamy?
Do we really ask those questions though, Kamala?
We need to. We need, but guess what? Too, and I'm gonna throw some blows at the women, right? Lovingly, because Sandra, sometimes the man either tell we verbally upfront, so, some
Or
brother,
showing.
or he showing, right? And we decide, say, okay, what I heard him say was he wants me to try harder. He wants me to be more sexy. He wants me to be more domesticated. He wants me to be more something. It's like a challenge. You understand? When the man never tell you that, the man say, I am not about this life. But we hear what we want to hear to make ourselves feel better because we're terrified of not being chosen. The rejection,
Mm-hmm.
the rejection part, Sandra, especially if we have father wounds. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
We don't want nobody left with, even if the person 100, we don't want that. So we want them to stay no matter what. So I'm saying all of this to say that when people tell you and show you who they are, pay attention, because it simply means that, okay, this don't match my levels, it don't match my yoke. So you are not the one for me. You could still be a very good person, but it's not the person for me. But sometimes, again, the desperation and the fear come in and we try to force it. You understand?
Yes.
So some men have what I call fragile senses of self, fragile egos. You understand? So if somebody isn't dependent on them, they can't deal. It's telling. The man is telling you where he's at emotionally. You understand? He's telling you what his issues may be.
It was 100%, Kamala. It was 100%. I had
And
4 men there,
all
and
of them
nobody wanted to be wanted. And even when those left, because I was like stunned. Honestly, I was stunned, and I was like, so I have this thing wrong. Men want you to depend on them,
they
but then everybody can't be dependent.
But Sandra, and that's a powerful point. But guess what? All of us are culpable because the society tell them that their worth in many ways is determined by, right, how much they can be the rock and be the dependable one for their woman or for their partner. You understand? So they grow up thinking that if a woman needs me, it means that I'm valuable. If a woman needs me, it means that I'm doing something right. You understand? And so that to them equates to some level of power and affirmation. Sometimes it can go to a point of being unhealthy. But I think generally, men have a love need of being depended on, and they want to provide for us, generally speaking. We
Right,
can't
I
say
said to provide, protect.
Yes.
What is it again? It's what, 3 P's or 4 P's? How the P's go again?
Provide, protect. I can't remember.
I remember.
But generally,
But I still remember.
yeah, provider,
Yes.
protector.
Yes.
And I'll soon come to the other one, right?
Yes.
But yes, Sandra. So we have to watch the extremes too. To what
Yes.
extreme is it? And you mentioned independence earlier.
Yes.
Suppose that no, my independence threatens your sense of me needing you. That's a problem. So we
Yes.
have to delve into the conversation, even if them feel awkward at first.
Okay, let us take some of what our viewers are saying. It says compatibility must play a major factor.
Mm-hmm.
One person, well, they're saying that my sample size was small with 4. But
Before.
to be honest, Doc, I have asked many others. It's just that that particular day there were 4 in the chair because, as I said, this is things that I like to ask my clients when they're in my chair because it's a nice, robust conversation, especially on a Saturday when really things really are very
Very,
spicy. Yes,
yes.
because it's a really nice conversation. It says not all men want a dependent woman.
Accurate.
Oh well.
So we have
But
to use
then
the
there's the
qualifier.
opposite side
Mhm.
that some men want to depend on a woman. Now, where did that come from? Because I'm seeing more and more and more of that in recent times.
Mhm.
Is it is
True.
it the is it the new way, equal opportunity? What's happening with that?
Yes. Many things are switching up, Sandra, and I'm always careful, or try to be careful in using my qualifiers like some and most and many, because we can never speak for all, right?
Right.
But definitely, there are some men who get a big buzz out of having a sugar mama or
Right.
some version of a sugar mama, meaning they also enjoy being taken care of. They also enjoy being pampered and having a woman who's financially secure show
Mhm.
them support. You understand?
Mhm.
And there are some men who, for that reason, will look to older, more established women because, it's likely that with age and stage, you have a certain level of financial security and success. Sandra,
Mhm.
let me tell you something. Everybody have them preferences, them fetish, them all kind of things. What is important for us is not to get too concerned about, oh my God, some men say this or all men say this. The one that you are engaging as a woman or, anybody who's engaging a partner or prospective partner, we
Mhm.
have to know what works for me. I can't control your thoughts and your preferences. I can only quote unquote investigate them without being like, very aggressive. Find out
Yes.
what you really want, where you are in life, and
Mhm.
see if that works for me. But sometimes I find that as women, sometimes we put too much of a responsibility on the men to get it right. We have to hold ourselves accountable in the dating game as well. And that's why sometimes women come to me as a coach and they will say to me, boy, the man, the motor road, this and that and the other. And I dated 5 men and they were all the same. And they expect me to join in the man bashing. And almost always I will say to them, let's talk about how you showed up. Let's talk about what you chose and what you decided in the space as well. Because the man never hold a gun to your head to get you into the relationship or the dating space with him.
Absolutely.
You agreed and you consented. What does it say
Absolutely.
about you? You understand? We have to do
Yes.
some reflection on ourselves as well.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
It says needing a man is not necessarily financial, it's also emotional. Absolutely, we agree there. But I I think definitely we want different things. But I think we're having a problem. I don't think you have bad marriages. What I think, and this is my view, the selection process is where the challenge is.
Hmm.
So how do we get to select what we want, what we need then? Not what we
Hmm.
want, what we need. Is it
Hmm.
that we need to spend more time? Is it that we need to ask more questions? Is it that we need to dig a little bit, find out background before you even say, let's have sex? Because I think once the sex gets involved, and worse if it's good,
Hmm.
everything gone through the window.
All
Just
rational
help us,
thinking.
help us a little. How we narrow it down, Kamala?
So, Sandra, a couple practical things to bear in mind for the dating space, right? One of them is allow people to show you who they are.
And that time span is it a time span or is it a the way you go about it,
I
the
think it's a
method.
combination of both. I think we should caution ourselves to not jump into anything too quickly. Because guess what? There is the tendency with all human beings, or most of us, to do something called social monitoring, where we is like, I have a personality, but when I show up to talk to Sandra, you get a piece of my personality. When I'm talking to Althea, you get a piece of my
Mm,
personality.
yes,
And
I know that. Yes.
to some extent, it's normal. It's a social, social psychological construct. But then
Okay.
now, when we start to date, we want to impress each other. So we show off a piece of our who we are, and we kind of, mold because we want to impress. So it's like we're performing. Allow enough time to pass for the performance and the audition stage to be ended. When people are showing you their 100% colors, you understand?
Right.
Can you show the man yourself without makeup? Because you won't be able to live in makeup with the fabulous earrings, 24/7 if you decide to pursue a relationship with this person. Can you show them what you're like when you're having a bad day? These are authenticity signs and signposts that if you don't reach there so yet, you don't really know the person. You know the facade that you're both putting on. So
Right.
these kind of things are, how does this person treat other people who are not trying to get something from, or not trying to build something with? How does he treat the people in the restaurant? How does she treat the people who work for her? You understand? So
So
spend the
we
time.
always make excuses for them. I mean, is not that's the reality of the thing. If we think we are in love with them, it's only when it gets unbearable now, when reality sets in,
Mhm.
that we really say, and I did see it long time, but you
And
know,
Sandra, that's why we're having the conversation this evening, because we're trying to interrupt what I
hmm
call those low value mindsets, where we say, well, I mean, maybe he never mean it. Maybe she was just trying to be so and so. But then we have to watch for the patterns. I'm not one to
right,
advocate if somebody does something that is questionable one time, within reason. Physical abuse for me is an absolute no-no. You can't tell about no pattern, right?
right,
Emotional abuse and so forth. But other things, other behaviors, I'm not one to say after one time it must be a sign and everything. With some things, just be vigilant. Be vigilant and watch. And the important part that will allow us to be vigilant, Sandra, is allowing ourselves to not control the outcome.
right.
Because oftentimes we have to, in our minds, we have to make this work by any means necessary, said Malcolm, right? We have to make it work. And therefore, we get blinded. We selectively blind ourselves to what is really going on, because
Mhm.
this have to work out. A 5 time now, me go through this, the one you have to count, go all the way to the altar. And you're 43 now, this have to go to the altar. This have to count for something. So we close our eyes and we make excuses.
So true.
So we have to leave room for, consider the dating game as like an audition. It's a conversation. And at the end of the dating period, you can then decide, is this something that could serve me long term? Is this something that if we should have children in this union, this could be healthy for them? Can this also serve my partner? Because sometimes we enter the space thinking, what can I get? We want him money, we want the house, but what can we also give to help build the other person? It's a two-way street. You understand? But
Yes.
consider it to be like an interview. This person is showing you who they are, you are showing them who you are. Leave the expectations as much as possible outside.
How you do
Examine
that though?
time. It takes
How,
intentional work.
who?
Because Sandra, we have to be able to say, I don't think that this is working out. It doesn't mean that I'm not a good person, because sometimes we tie the two things together, and that's why we're afraid to ask the questions.
Mm,
We twin them. So,
right.
if the person is not giving you a good vibe, we automatically sometimes, especially as women, feel like it's a reflection of my value. I'm not valuable enough. I'm not desirable. When no, the person just not right for you, and vice versa.
Right.
And that's why standards are so important.
Absolutely. All right. So let us take some. All right. So it says, in the words of Chris Rock, you meeting the person's representative.
Mm,
I'm not quite. I don't quite get that. But you're meeting the person's represent. Oh, when you're just meeting the person, you're meeting
mhm.
the person's
You're right.
representative. Okay, I get what you're saying. Another
Mhm.
one says we can take this conversation to the four corners of the earth. It all comes back to the starting point, which is it's just a big gamble. What do you say to somebody that says it's a gamble? If
Um,
you do things intentional, is that still a gamble?
the reality is, for me, the gambling part of it signals the fact that you're gonna have no guarantee that it's going to go all the way.
But that's life.
Exactly. So why do we show up in dating with this immense need to control it then? Where it have to work, and if it don't work, then my life is falling apart or whatever, or I feel like I'm trash. You understand? Look
Right.
at it as, I call it dress rehearsals for the real thing. So after each dating situation, if it never work, I should learn about me,
Mm-hmm.
and I should learn about what I bring and how I can be better for me for the next round. You understand? As opposed to, oh my God, nobody don't want me. This kind of catastrophic thinking of low value, I'm not desirable, etc.
Okay. It says, I so agree. Pray and hope that the person is not there with selfish intentions, because sometimes you wait, look at the family, the friends, everything, one possible, and still never see the real person. How long do you wait? How long is the dating period?
That's a good question, and I can't prescribe it for anybody. But so I tend to use little signposts. Have I seen this person on one of their worst days? Have I seen this person with their friends? Because sometimes they show you a vibe because they might try to get you. But have you
Right.
seen them with their friends? Are they bullies? Are they leaders or followers? Do they live recklessly outside of the dating space? How do they treat their family members? How do they manage criticism? You understand?
Do they
So
take care of their children?
listen,
Mhm.
listen. Can they be honest about simple things, or is everything a lie
Is he talking ill of his previous girlfriend?
and scandal in
Mhm.
the woman name? Right?
Absolutely.
Yes. So I
Okay.
consider the signpost as opposed to the time frame.
Yes. Get you. Okay. I think you should date to complement your love language and your zodiac sign. Have to align on a higher level, not just personality, age, looks, or those regular criteria. What do you think about zodiac sign and love language? This five love languages.
Yeah.
Everybody, some like appreciation, some
Mhm.
like acts of
Service, word
right,
of affirmation, physical touch. Yeah. So for
right,
me, I know many people hold on to their life, to the zodiac sign situation. I am not as locked into that, but that's my personal, preference. But I believe that even just like how we're talking about some and many and most, and we can't say all, same thing with zodiac sign. No matter, even if it's accurate in your mind, people
right,
will vary. People will depart from, the predictions. So we
right.
have to take each person based on what they bring. The love languages part, I think, is important in a relationship setting. But I believe that if somebody is emotionally intelligent enough, Sandra, even if you have different love languages, if they can be cognizant of your needs and make the effort to meet your love language needs or your love needs, then it can flow. So I don't so feel as though it needs to be.
Okay, so in my research for this program, I watch up quite a few of the relationship shows, and what I'm hearing is that men, as I said, like some men, a lot of men think that once they provide and
Yes.
give you a nice house and
Mm-hmm.
they send the children to the right schools and you're able to buy a Gucci bag and you're able to go out or travel,
Yes.
oh, you mean you're not happy? You're
Mm-hmm.
craving, you're
You're out of
greedy,
order. Mm-hmm.
you're out of order.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I would like you to spend some time with me, not hang out with the boys on Friday. Let us go to the country for the weekend, but you find that too much personal touch kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
How do we, how do we, well, most women don't say anything because they don't want to offend the person.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying, but the man knows to say, me still not happy. But then in his mind, you're just greedy. It's not that you have a different love language. So is it this time we go for counseling? Is it? But when you say to my man counseling, everybody freak out.
Listen, we have to be careful not to generalize too broadly. But I saw one of the viewers mention
Yeah.
something about mind reading.
Right.
So I'm going to just share generally on some of the things that we can do, and if that no work, then what next, right? So first of
Right.
all, have we been intentional about sharing with our partner what our love needs are? Because sometimes we're not good at vocalizing either what we want. So the other person is left to guess and to wonder. You understand? Have we said to our partner, even especially around sex and physicality, sometimes we still have that kind of a shy with some people, that kind of a, hush kind of conversation. Have you said to your partner, I love it when you do this, do more of that, please? You understand? Otherwise, how can they know? We assume that they must see the body language, but nothing don't beat verbally stating that I like this, I love this, or I don't like this. I need more of this. Are we able to say to them, even if you buy me chocolates and you buy me an expensive car for my birthday, what really gets me going, what really makes me feel most loved is when you sit on the couch with me and we can just be together.
I watch a movie.
Yeah. Because again, too, so it all boils down to communication and how comfortable we are owning what we want. Because sometimes, Sandra, we want the thing, but we feel so like, am I being excessive? Am I being, too much? Am I being too demanding to state it? And then we vex with the other person because they're not giving. So that's one place to start from. Okay. And I agree that a certain level of emotional intelligence is important for your partner to be able to understand, say, not because I love physical touch that makes me feel most loved, means that Sandra want that and that alone. Sandra might want me to tell her, say, Sandra, you're banging with this new haircut. You understand?
Right.
And the give and take of it. Because sometimes we give people what we want for ourselves.
Right.
And then if you're in a relationship now, sometimes all of that things still go bad. I definitely advocating for getting third party help. Yeah, nothing wrong with counseling.
Absolutely. I find also we tend to talk a lot about the woman not talking, but the man is also guilty of that.
Mm-hmm.
And what does the man do? Instead of telling the woman what he wants, whether it is in bed or for her to cook a nice meal, without an argument, we're talking now. We're not talking about a quarrel now. We're not talking about a man and a woman having a quarrel. We're talking about a man honestly sitting down with his woman and saying, babes, boy, I like it when you do X or Y, or boy, I really appreciate if you did X or Y. Instead of doing that, he goes to side chick to get that need filled. So what do we say to the men now about talking about what you want and not expecting a woman to, know by osmosis that this is what you want, and they have two standards. I do this with my wife, but I can't. No, with my girlfriend, but I can't back it up and throw it down and fling it over here and fling it over there, or do that with my wife because it's my wife. You don't have wifely. When the wife dying of thirst, hoping and praying that one day you just come home and back it up against the wall. Where did that come from?
I think it can come from several places. So one of them, and that's why, Sandra, me love talk about the fact that all of us have to level up.
Absolutely.
And I don't make it a gendered conversation. All of us as people, as human beings. And then it goes back to how we are raising our children, our boys and our girls. Are we raising our boys to feel safe, to vocalize the facts that we have needs? Because sometimes for men to say, I need this or I want this, can really feel like devastating powerlessness. Because they are raised to exist in a space where you're man, good, everything good. And I don't need anybody. I don't need anything. You're supposed to need it from me, but I don't need it from you. Can a man come to you as his woman and say to you, babe, I never like how you talk to me without it being an argument? Can he tell you the first time it happened as opposed to it exploding after it happened 15 times? So we have to change that narrative of how we're socializing each other. Okay, how are we raising our girls? Sometimes we raise them to not rock the boat too much. Nobody speak up too much and stress out the man. And yes, there is a need for people not to nag people, and there is a need for us to be understanding, but also owning your power and being able to say, I like this and I don't like this. I would love if you do this for me. You understand? Is important. No, that's one part of the story, Sandra. In a marriage or relationship now, sometimes people are living fragmented lives where they might have some deep sexual fantasy or needs, and them decide say this is dirty or this is too not UPT or not whatever enough to bring to my good clean uptown or upstanding or Christian wife. Sometimes assumptions are made, but sometimes the assumptions are accurate because the other party has said, no, sir, I'm not doing them the business there. And there is an unwillingness to compromise. So it can come from different places. It could be one person lying about what they really want, or there can be incompatibility, in which case compromising sometimes with a third party is the important thing now. Draw for one sexologist then and figure out, okay, if you don't want to do that piece there, we can kind of do this then, to kind of nice it up same way, you understand? But a willingness to pleasure each other is important for a relationship to work. And we're not condone the man them stepping out or the woman them stepping out either. Because adults should be able to be honest and say, babe, this not work for me. I'm tempted. So we now say it's right for a man to step out or a woman to step out because they're not happy or feeling fulfilled. But we're just explaining some of the possible reasons for it to happen.
Okay, somebody said, Mark says, some women work out before marriage. After marriage, they stop. That goes for men too. That goes for men too. The biggest issue for men is sexual.
The biggest what?
It says the biggest issue for men is sexual compatibility.
Mm-hmm.
When you marry a woman your age, that is a serious problem. But it can also be a serious problem when you marry a man your age and your sexuality busts out.
Yes.
When
and
the man
is declining
at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Or well, 50 when he may be 60. So it's on both sides. So
it's on both sides.
And having a conversation with Dr. Aiken last week, he was very clear.
Mm-hmm.
He said erectile dysfunction is not inevitable.
Mm.
Eat right, exercise, take care of your body. You can have sex way up to your 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So what it really is the conversation. It comes right back down to the conversation that we are not having, the one that we are not equipped to have, and the one that we are struggling to have.
Listen, I watched one movie the other night, Sandra, and the movie was hilarious and eye-opening. This movie named Hope Springs, about this couple who end up in a one funk and they went to a sex counselor. It was hilarious and deeply revealing as well. Because sometimes it's terrifying for a man to say to you, you know, so the thing now work like how it used to work.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Because we ascribe so much self-worth to sexual performance, especially for men. So if a man can get it up in whole life mash up in some spaces. Then too, sometimes the partner is not very, very understanding.
Yes.
Sometimes the partner is critical.
Yes.
And the man does not feel safe to even discuss the issue of his challenges that he may be having. I just saw a comment come up.
No, you see, I touched it and it popped up by mistake. Okay. Sorry.
It's a cool feature. Yeah, man. So it's important to create a space in the relationship generally, Sandra, where difficult conversations can be had. And that take practice. Because some of we have some motor mouth.
Yes.
Fly off the handle, like this the simplest thing that happens.
Yes.
Sex is a very, very sensitive topic for many people, even in a marriage.
Yes.
So if you realize that your male partner is having challenges with erectile dysfunction, and you start threatening, and you start using it against him as a weapon, and you start saying, well, me not getting on because you can't even manage it anyway.
Yes.
Why you think the man going to want to share more about it with you? You understand?
Right.
So men have feelings too. Men have feelings too. It's important to remember that. Yeah. Absolutely. And of course, the converse is also true. You understand? Yes. So the conversation is important and it can be difficult. And if it's difficult, people can help you.
What about reading body language? All right. Yes, people can read your mind. But if you come in through the door, or let's say we had sex or whatever it is, and you see some mood, you know me. You must know me by now. I'm your wife. You know, ask me, boy, well, I know what they're going to say. They're going to say you're not going to tell the truth. Them ask you what wrong with you, and you said nothing.
All right.
Which is true
Mm-hmm.
in many instances.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe she shuts down because she figured that she's not getting anywhere. So would you say that what I want to know is how is there ever a time when you said going to counseling, not necessarily for a problem,
Mm-hmm.
but for maintenance,
Oh yes.
so that you could adapt what I want to say. You
Yeah,
know,
man.
how can we put it into the whole relationship package? Because the truth is, there are several topics that it's like your throat get tight. You can't
Yes.
talk
Yeah.
because they're not accustomed.
And
You know,
especially based on our socialization.
you're afraid to offend him. But when you're in a counseling session, it sounds a little different.
Yeah.
That's if
Yeah.
he's willing to go, by the
Yeah.
way.
Or
Right?
she. Because
Or
sometimes
she.
women are unwilling to. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I definitely agree, Sandra.
yes.
I feel like we should move away from painting counseling as
Yes.
something that happen when your marriage are popped down.
Right.
Because I believe that couples should get tune-ups. You understand? Every ever so often for us manage because life happens in Sandra, business happens. And people ideally are growing and changing
Right.
throughout the marriage and throughout the relationship. So the person who you meet at 35 is going to be a different person at 42
Absolutely.
with different goals, desires, pains, concerns, maybe a different level of sexuality and libido. Maybe they're more adventurous. You understand? And it's important to remain at that sense of, to contain that sense of intimacy where we can be close, not only physically and sexually, but close enough for me to say, baby, no, so when I was 25, I was different than the way I am now. And your partner will listen and speak with you. You understand? So maintenance is important to the relationship. And again, I've heard so many men talk about the fact that, listen, they love it when their woman is their peace.
But
Because, Sandra, some of us, and I'm saying us because it's the truth, sometimes as women, because there tend to be differences in some cases between how we communicate based on our gender. You understand? Sometimes as women, we are more verbal than men are. Sometimes, because you have some men who are very verbal and some women who are not very verbal, right? But sometimes as women, we don't know time and place. And we use our verbal expressions as a weapon. We weaponize our words, and we even weaponize our vagina.
Yes.
And where we draw for it as spite. Sometimes it's out of frustration and anger. So I'm not saying we're all evil, but I'm saying we have to check ourselves too and make sure that we have a habitat in our relationship where our partner, especially a male partner, for this conversation's sake, can feel like, even though me not talk Wally, me can trust Sandra to tell her this and she not go fan me off or mock me.
And throw it in my face a couple of months down the line.
Or use it against me. Or talk it loud for the pitney them here, or tell it to our friend them out the street. You understand? She can keep it. And I can lean on her and trust her to be more vulnerable or more whatever. You understand? It's important.
Okay, let us take some. But it's a whole heap, you know.
What if I take that talk?
It says, okay, someone says, why the questions coming fast and furious, I can't keep up. The key to making any relationship work is communication on every level from both parties.
Agreed.
Right? Somebody said, why that keeps on happening when I press on it. All right, it says,
I like this.
we are a mixture of many emotions and needs, not one dimensional. Well, I am. So the love language theory does not necessarily work for me. I just love being loved, respected, love honesty, ambition, etc.
Pull up our next one there, please. Me like how we can see them too.
Yes, don't it? We like this feature.
Yes.
We're learning friends as we go along.
Very much so.
Yes. So okay, hold on. Let me get another one. We need to, okay. We need to ask questions, allow the relationship to grow, and take note on how he or she handles any certain circumstances. And more importantly, make sure you both want the same thing in the relationship. My dad told me, get to know the family that you are getting into and their
And
friends.
friends. Thank you for that, Andrea. Mhm.
Patient man ride donkey. In dating, when you say you forgive someone, why is the fault brought back a year later?
Is this a man or a woman? Who's
Man,
asking? I'm
it
not
is a
surprised.
man,
Who is it?
Mr. Henry.
All right. Can I respond to that, Sandra?
Sure.
All right. So a couple things happened there. Sometime, all right. So yesterday on the summit, Sandra, as an example, because we had the men and the women, kind of vibing off each other. One of the women raised the concern that in the dating space again, sometimes you make plans with a man and you cook up all the food and set the vibe and everything. And the man will tell you half hour after the agreed time, saying can't come again.
Mm,
And she said that is hugely
Lord.
disrespectful. And one of the men said, but sometimes I find that, what was it that he said? Something to the effect of, sometimes women take it very seriously, even saying that, respect my time, etc. And he was insinuating that he felt as though that was maybe excessive, right? And a woman in the comments said, listen, it sound like enough time you do it, and the woman just fed up. So I raised that in response to Mr. Henry's comment or question, because sometimes it's a case, and we're not justifying here, no, we're not excusing, but we just try to tease it out. Sometimes it keeps happening. So a woman may forgive after 2 or 3 times and let it go, but the behavior persists. And she may over time try to search it for the sake of peace, but it keeps happening. And so it come up again. It explode out of her.
Something like it come up again.
So it's really a protest, which should not be, but sometimes it can be a sign that this woman is not feeling heard. You understand?
Yes.
Which is something for you to take into consideration.
Okay, so did I show this one already? The biggest issue, I did that one already, right? Yes. All right. They forget men are visual. Yeah, but men forget that women also can be visual.
And also to Sandra, I think it's important for men to know that for women, the biggest sex organ is the brain.
Right.
Which is the seat of the emotions. You understand?
Right.
So sometimes the woman is unhappy, and to then require or ask of her to be immediately sexual in relation to your own advances or your own libido is unfair. Because for her, the lead up and the warm up time to feeling
sexual, because that's the biggest problem. I want you go over that again. I don't want nobody miss the point there. Come again.
All right.
Start from scratch.
Yes. So for women, and we can't say all because we're all wired differently, but for many women, the brain is in fact the largest sex organ. You understand? Mm-hmm. So when a woman, for many women, safe is like an aphrodisiac. When she feels emotionally safe and other kind of safe, then she is free to be her most sexual, liberated self. Okay? So sometimes the situation is not happy for the woman. She don't feel like you're hearing her. She don't feel like you're being supportive of her dreams, her concerns. You're not really being present to what is happening with her. That can be experienced as she's saying you don't care. And then when night come or when morning come or whenever time of day come now, you do decide that you feel very aroused and you want sex. And she must just line up and tune up and turn on. It's a different process for women to get sexually ready. So,
yeah, but they see it as spite though.
Sometimes it is spite, Sandra, if we're to be honest, right? Sometimes it's a woman's protest. She uses her sexuality to protest, and it's true. Sometimes we use it as a weapon.
You're angry.
I
don't understand that.
But Sandra, communication is what it should boil down to. And sometimes, to be truthful, in some cases, the woman communicate from morning to night and the man not here. So she just lock down and just shop lock, right? Yes. But it's important to have a culture where you can communicate and you don't have to weaponize sex and you don't have to weaponize your emotions. But I just want to remind the men too that some women are wired differently than you are. And so emotional wellness and her feeling secure is a big part of the sex process, even though it might not seem to be obvious. And not only physical and touching and and these things and stimulation, it's also about her emotional state. Is she tired? Is she stressed out? Is she feeling close to you? Have you been pulling away from her? You understand? Does she feel safe in this moment?
Does he have another woman that she knows about, and he still wants to have the same level of openness with her when he comes home, knowing fully well that she knows more than likely he make a quick stop before him come home? That's
Or
also in the mix.
or she have a strong suspicion, because sometimes we're not a proof, but we just
That's true too.
but we respond out of fear because something to feel right. You understand? So emotional intimacy should be parallel to sexual intimacy. Is your
Yes.
partner connected to you right now? Otherwise, the sex game are gonna be very tricky.
Yes. Oh, wow. It sounds like work. What happens, or how do you deal with a situation where the man is not a bad man or the woman is not a bad woman,
Mm-hmm.
but really and truly, them just not get it.
Mm-hmm.
Them just not equipped for this thing here. So it's like you are saying the same, just like what you say, you're saying the same thing over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not the capability is just not there. So what I'm expecting from you, okay, for example, you're not a hands-on man.
Mm-hmm.
What do it for me is when you come into the, and I didn't know this before we get married, or before we get into the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I say 1,000 times, George, you see the lock on the door broken? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can do it, but people tell you, say, you must make the
Let the
man
man be
feel
the
like him a
man.
man. So you talk to him about the door lock. 1 week later, it's still not fixed. Georgie Pumpkin, remember the door? 1 more week pass. It's just not in him. And it's not like say he must even say to you, okay, I can't do it, but let me call James. Make James fix it. By this time, you cross like was. You know what I'm saying? How
Yes.
do you navigate? And it's not that he's a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
So do you just get a team? That's what I see some women do. Just
Mm-hmm.
get a team and just let the team work around the house, and just don't get him involved in those things. So you eliminate those arguments.
Mm-hmm. So Sandra, you're talking a real life story. And this is not a theory, this is real life, and people wonder how to navigate it. One of the things I will say is that no good relationship is perfect. So if it is that you have these knocking off heads from time to time, it doesn't mean that, oh my God, clearly we can't make it. What is important is if there is interest from your partner to be responsive to your concerns and your needs. But even within that space too, it's important to pick your battles. And
Right.
yeah, because if you wage war for everything that the partner don't do, Sandra, a problem. You understand?
You're
Um,
tired every day.
yeah, man, you're tired plus tax, and life is real. So you have other things to do with your life. You understand? So one of the things I would say in that specific situation is I love to communicate clearly. So I'd probably say, Georgia, darling, I've asked you for 3 weeks now to tackle the lock, and it's not only about the lock. For me, it's about securing our family. You understand? Because
Mm,
sometimes the meanings is where we feel the most affected. Because you said to me, I don't only one lock. To me, one thief can come in. So if you sometimes explain to them what it means to us. So Georgie, enough breaking go on the news in the community, whatever, or even if not. And to me, it's about securing our family. And me kind of start to feel like you don't care. Is it that you don't want to do it, or you're busy, or is it that you want to get smutty? Ask him point blank. Because I don't want to call James now, and I go hear say me I disrespect the man of the house.
yes.
Because that happened very often too, Sandra, right? So it's important. So I like to communicate clearly. I would say this is how. So this happened, and it is a process, is a practice in therapy and coaching. Start off with the issue. This happened, Georgie. you know, I did this, I asked you this, and this was your response. And your response made me feel. Now, but I tell him, say, him make you feel.
Okay.
I felt,
that is a distinct difference.
I felt this way when you did or did not do this. And so now to move us to solution, which is a big word for you, Sandra, to move us to solution, honey bunny, what do you want us to do? Because I have these options in mind. We could call a third party who can do it quicker, who can be here tomorrow to fix it, and we could have done the argument. It will cost us 2,000 Jamaica dollar. You understand?
Right.
Or I can ask you, please, if you can do it by Friday morning, you know, because I know you're busy right now. You communicate clearly. And you also give the person the space now to respond, ideally, if they're open to it, and everybody open to say, you know, babes, because to be honest, we never really fixed a door before, so I kind of don't want to feel fool and do it wrong. Maybe you will say that, and you can say, okay, so we need James for real then.
Right. Whew. All right. So Carlington says, loyalty and commitment is the key. What does that mean, really?
Good question, Sandra. So loyalty and commitment. And my first thought on this, Sandra, is don't assume anything. Because I have heard people say, listen, I'm with you physically, but I'm not committed. You have some people who will physically be in the house with you for 30 years, but they're not committed to the relationship. They're committed to the image of the relationship, or they're committed to the sense of safety that they get by having this person with them, but they're not fully bring all of them goods, the emotional goods, to invest into the relationship. So it's important not to assume. Ask people, what does loyalty look like to you? Because you may hear say you mustn't talk to no other man. You may hear say you mustn't ask no other man to be your friend or your best friend. It varies. And you never sign up for that. So don't make any assumptions ever, as much as we can. Ask the questions and allow for people to respond honestly. And then we can make our own decisions.
Absolutely. When you're, you remember earlier you said that be their piece, says when you're their piece, they treat you like a doormat.
And I think it's Casey, you pronounce it, or Casey?
Casey, yes.
I don't know if it's true all the time, but definitely there's some people who treat women like doormat, or treat their partners like a doormat. And my response is, does it mean that being your partner's piece is a bad thing altogether? Or does it mean that it's the wrong partner? You understand? And if it's your experience, and what are you going to do? Because sometimes we stay, but we still cuss them out and say, oh yeah, do this. But they must show you, so they're not going to change. So we have to take the step, you know?
You have to take the initiative. I love that, weaponize the vagina. I must remember that one.
Please use it responsibly, Mr. Aiken.
That one is good. Zahid says we need to understand the term forgiveness. What does that mean exactly?
I love that question. Mr. Henry is clicking tonight, man. I love that question. For me, Sandra, it's important to establish what forgiveness is not. Forgiveness is not forgetting. I don't subscribe to that. Okay. We are human beings. Our memories are intact, especially if it was a deep hurt. It's not practical to expect people to just wipe it out and act like it never happened. So forgiveness for me is not acting like it never happened. Forgiveness for me is reaching a space where you have made a decision to move forward in spite of what happened. And I want to add to it too, maybe from a biblical perspective, where you're of a mind to not want the other person to pay. So in a way, you've kind of dropped your rocks. You're not over there say, God, you can't make Sandra prosper because Sandra hurt me. Your business just fail. You understand? Sandra mustn't have anything good because Sandra hurt me. When you reach a space where we can see Sandra and wish Sandra well, in spite of what Sandra did to us, I think we're on the road to forgiveness. But it doesn't mean that we forget. I don't believe in that.
Okay.
And importantly too, Sandra, it doesn't mean that we maintain the relationship too. You can forgive somebody and still the person is toxic and still not the best person to be around.
You have to choose what is good for you. Okay. When you are unequally yoked, the relationship comes under pressure and stress. And I believe this incongruence can come at any phase of the relationship. So we have to be mindful at every level.
I have a question for the audience, Sandra. I'm going to be provocative tonight, right? Let me see the hands of
You
the
know, it
woman.
says 9:22 already. Boy,
This
we're clicking.
we're
Boy,
talking. We're
time is
putting
flowing, but I
the
don't think
energy.
anybody minds that we are going.
Yes.
Yes.
I have a question about that whole, thing that your last audience member shared. How many of us as women have the standards where the man's supposed to be wealthy and he's supposed to support us 199%, um, despite what our financial situation is? I'm asking that question because sometimes the incompatibility argument can creep into that piece of the conversation, to Sandra, where we over here and we decide that we want a man who is a certain level of financially successful. And we meet a man and him not have that, and we wonder, should I try to make it work? Right? But sometimes from early out, you realize that our partner is challenged. We're in a two different world, different age and stage, and we just cannot make it work. But sometimes we keep on pushing to say, oh God, I really want this, and we fight it. And even earlier, we can show say it don't work. You understand? So it's important, as your member said, to be mindful at every single level. Sometimes flexing is good, but sometimes it's settling. So we have to be clear on that.
Okay. Anthony, I like when the men them tune in, man. Most of the time, if two people are sensitive to each other's needs, they develop a sense of responsibility to each other. At that point, the relationship can blossom into something beautiful. You then have a deep, valid respect for each other. When you have that type of respect for each other, you guide yourself accordingly.
So mutual respect, and sometimes you can tell early out if the person have it. So keep your eyes open. Them say stand in love and don't fall in love.
Yes.
Mhm.
So this is really, really rich. Let me see if I can find a couple more um, questions. It says, um, Andrea says, like anything else, a relationship is a learning and growing process. We just need to be direct with each other. But how many of us can be direct?
Very, 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 very true. Some of us don't grow up being direct. Some of us equate. We grew up learning that being direct is rude or is
Or
disrespectful.
I sometimes equate or some people around me equate being direct as being confrontational.
Yeah. And so it's important to find the sweet spot because you have some people, Sandra, will love to tell you, say, the truth, when I care what you want, the truth is just the truth. And they're actually being abusive and they're being rude.
Yes.
But also, truth is important in love to share with a partner and to share with people generally. So finding the balance is what's important. And therefore, Sandra, we have to do some work on ourselves. And to me, it should be constant out of a sense of personal development and love for myself. Self care to me is being on a journey of learning about me and about why I do the things I do. And it never ends because we never reach perfection. So spend the time to figure out, why do I like a man who is powerful? Why do I like a woman who is XYZ? It means something. It's telling you something about you. Spend the time with it. Listen to feedback from people who you trust. If enough people are telling you, say, why you're always so and so, maybe there's some truth to it. You understand? Receive the feedback.
Okay, so all right, so let us we haven't even scraped the surface. Boy, this juicy and nice. I love it. I love a good conversation.
Mhm.
But dating, the dating scene,
It's sticky in some spaces and in some age groups.
texting,
Yeah, DMing, DM
that
is
is
fine.
that appropriate?
I think it boils down to standards, because some people standard tell them say a text relationship is perfectly fine, whereas for me, I am not going to be staying on the phone texting you 24/7. I want a lot of interaction. That's my personal preference. You have to know what works for you and stand up for it. You understand? If
Mhm.
it's somebody who you check for, say to them, say, I realize you like to text. To be honest, I don't love it so much. Can we do more calls? State up front what you're about.
And if they don't want to, if you find that they're continuously texting and they don't want a lot, either they're not they don't ever want to take a FaceTime call
Hmm.
or call, Is that a red flag?
Yes. In fact, I have a friend who had an experience where she was dating somebody, but it was largely online, never met them before in person. They were in a space, and homeboy had the excuse say, I like to text. I don't love to call. They talk calling so much. Tutu, Sandra, she pick up that something was wrong and she Google the matter. She Google him and come across the fact that homeboy properly have a young child, which he did not.
Declare.
Yes. And so that, of course, mashed up the thing because she has said this person is deceptive and their status is different than what they told me. Yeah, so it's definitely a red flag for me personally. Nowadays, Sandra, DM sliding, sending people pictures of your genitalia.
Yes.
Is apparently a thing. And for me not really so log on for that, Sandra, so maybe be old-fashioned too. Because in my mind, especially without asking my permission and seeking my consent to receive
it.
Yeah, this is, to me, that's a gross violation of my boundaries. And it's telling that something is off with you. You're not the one for me. You understand? I don't know you like that. I want to know more about you personally before we see your body virtually.
So what to say to a young person out there who they're on Instagram every day? I mean, their life, them literally born texting these days, right? How would you explain to a young person that, to get to know somebody, you really have to have a conversation?
Sandra, I would say to them that even when you are close with someone, Sandra, and you text a lot, it can be difficult to pick up tone and motives and energy and intentions from text.
Absolutely.
So it is not the best way to get to know a person. So I would just say to them, practically, it's not ideal. There has to be a balance of real-time convo, because miscommunication can come in and people can hide. You understand? And if you want this to go to romance, for this to be your partner and even your marital partner, we're not going to text each other in the house. So practice from now to hear the person's tone when they're angry. Practice from now to pick up their facial expressions and read their mood by their body language. You're practicing. So do yourself a favor, start the practice early.
All right, so there's a debate as to when you meet someone, I suppose at any age, and you want, so let me be clear, you want a relationship. Some person says too early to state, where do you see this going? Are you interested in a relationship? Some people state that you must just watch the flow and see how it flows. School is out as to which comes first. Because my thought process is, why continue this conversation if it's just a booty call or the person just wants friends with benefits? Just get that out of the way early so that you know that if you're not really looking for a relationship, just keep it moving. But most people tend to be selfish. They want the sex, so they tell you what you want to hear. How you navigate that little
miss? So the fabulous panel of men that we had yesterday spoke some radical truth and talk about some man's secret. And they said to us, as the queens in the tribe, they said to us, ladies, in all honesty, you see, if it is that you lead the conversation with your list of things that you want, it is easy for some men who are very predatory to therefore craft a persona to win you over. They say, even if you have standards in terms of your sexual engagement, for example, like a 90-day rule, them say the man them will wait as long as it hooks to get the thing, and then they act however they choose. Whether they're going to say, it's nice, let me commit, or not so much. So it's important, ladies and gentlemen, because we're talking both sides of the story. Sandra, I can't say it enough. We have to start from a settled place of power. I want this, and I'm not open to compromising on it. You see, if you find yourself and say, boy, at least in job nice, in financially secure, so I feel like I can kind of make it work. Sandra, if you hear yourself talking the whole at least argument, you're not standing in your power. And that will be communicated to a partner who may be predatory. Because you have predatory partner out there. They just want to get something from you. So you have to stand in the knowledge of what you want and you have to own it, number one. Number two, I believe that as early as you realize that there is mutual interest, spend some time with the generalities, or your steer, your preferences, whatever, and then have a conversation. It don't have to be your 5-year plan and the details of your love life
Right.
and what you want,
Right.
but at least, so, what are you looking for? Do you just want sex, a physical situation? Some people only want the physical. It is a big reality.
And it can be male or female. Let us be clear about that.
That's what I'm saying. Some people just want physical. Some women may say to a man, yo, the last time I give my heart to a man, he wrecked me. So me not give no man 100% of me ever again. She's clear. She told you.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Nobody
Right.
try. Why when you put on the thing on her, she go just, decide to be yours only. Listen to people, ask people, and allow them to show you the answer. Listen to them. They will tell you, or they may not tell you, but they will definitely show you. They can't hide that part. So I believe in having clear understanding. What am I looking for? Do you want physical only? Do you want to date with intentionality to see if this can be something more? Or do you just want to hang out? Ask the question.
And even if you ask a question and somebody lied and you see the opposite,
Believe
it
the
is
actions.
incumbent on you to take the decision to exit stage left.
And sometimes, Sandra,
because they're showing you
thank
who
you.
they really are.
And sometimes people will show you who they really are, and we keep on asking them to have a conversation, and they will tell you what you want to hear, but their actions are still not changing. Believe
Absolutely.
the action. Believe the pattern.
Absolutely. Okay. Erica says, okay, let me just do this. My husband and I work together to get everything done. I was never of the mindset that I'm any man's responsibility.
And I think every couple should decide what their union looks like. I don't think we should be slaves to any societal thing. In some relationship, the woman don't cook and the man cook.
Right.
It work.
That is true. Andrea says, you can be direct and not confrontational. It is all about being truthful from the beginning, and that will come natural during the rest of the relationship.
Fully agree.
I find that how you start the relationship, sometimes that is a part of the problem, because you pretend to be X, you're not really X, or you pretend to be okay with certain things because you want to win he or she over. And then when the thing now you can't manage, you find it difficult at that point to change your mind.
Absolutely. And remember that we teach people how to treat us.
Absolutely. I preach that every day. You teach people how to treat you. And if you're not happy with how people are treating you, you move on.
Speak up. You understand?
Without any regrets. Because I find it very weird. A man will treat a woman badly, right? And the woman is suffering under the treatment. But the minute he goes and finds another woman, she's quarreling that he finds another woman. Why? I don't understand that logic.
Because, Sandra, it's the pain of not being chosen. Because many of us are terrified of rejection. And we frame somebody moving away.
But he's the same person.
Yes.
Whether he's over there with Susie or with you, he's the same person. So the fact that he has because I find that a man will do things and do things and do things and do things, and the woman just sucks out through wooden spoon, as them say.
Yeah.
But the minute he takes up another woman, she's willing to fight. I don't get that.
Sandra, honestly, I call it a low value mindset, because some of us feel as though alpha man better than no man at all. And that doesn't only mean in terms of sharing and having your man being unfaithful or your partner being unfaithful. For some people, it also means him not show up 100% or she not show up 100%. But at least him there. At least there's a man in the house. At least may I get some physical satisfaction. At least the children can see them father. At least. You understand? So we have settled all the way down to the 50% mark or below to make it work. And we don't want anybody else to come and take our half a man away from us.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying now. I get it. I really didn't, because I'm just saying, If it was a
Why?
dog yesterday, whether he takes up another girl or not, he's still that same wicked person.
And then now, Sandra, there is also the fear of the unknown. Will I find somebody else?
But
Because
he was good
sometimes
who
we
you
don't.
had.
But Sandra, sometimes we believe the lies, that the partner either tell us or insinuates that nobody else never want you, or we tell ourselves that and say, "Boy, I'm lucky to be with to at least have somebody." Low value coming from low self-esteem and low self-worth, which sometimes come from childhood experiences. So that's why we have to be doing the work and check our patterns, because we can make some decision when it makes zero sense, Sandra, but it's coming from a place of hurt and trauma.
I want you to touch a little bit on when we say we are staying together for the children.
Mm-hmm.
How does how are you doing something good for the children, especially if the man is verbally and sometimes physically abusive?
Sandra, is a hot topic to touch on the answer to your question specifically, but I have to touch on something else too. You see, the abusive relationship space, it actually causes people's cognitive function, their thinking and decision making to be altered. And
Okay.
that is why sometimes we can look on from the outside and say, but I could have what do Mary? The Mary must have mad out. Because how can Mary get the big thump or the big abuse, or John get the big thump? Because let's face it, there are women who are abusive too,
Yes.
and they must stay. I could have what? I idiot. But we have to have sensitivity to realize that actually people get warped in their thinking due to abuse. You understand?
Mhm.
And so so sometimes they feel as though I don't deserve any better. Sometimes their partner tell them and they believe it over time. Sometimes there is great fear for their physical safety. If I leave, there could be huge retaliation.
I get
It
you.
has a real impact. So that's one part of the puzzle for us to understand clearly. Generally speaking, Sandra, if a person can do the work to plan out their escape, I would say do it. Because staying for the children does not set the children up for a healthy future or a healthy present. If it is that the marriage is unhappy, I believe that children are very perceptive more than we think, and they pick up on things that we don't even know. Many of us, as in us adults right now, Sandra, we grew up in some dysfunctional homes and kill our parents dead. Sandra never understands. Sandra was too young to know what was happening. Sandra wasn't bothered by this. And yet still we have some scars that we don't even know where they come from. It come from there, so.
And we
So
do things in our adult life that we
replaying,
don't even know why we do them.
we're replaying the trauma. You understand?
Yes,
And so children deserve a space where they can see what a healthy love looks like, what a respectful union
absolutely.
looks like. And children, they're resilient. And so if you have to leave, if you're living for the well-being of yourself and your children, you can help them with resources like therapy to manage with the separation of both parents. It's not the end of the world. But staying long-term can have deleterious impact on their well-being, physical and emotional, and also on
So,
yours.
so staying is not loving the kids.
I think sometimes the children, I think sometimes we make excuses in the name of the children.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes too is a lack of understanding. We don't realize that this is doing the children harm, sometimes more harm than leaving would. So that's why we're sharing on this space, is to think about it from a different perspective. When
Right.
your boy see your husband talk to you like that, what does he learn from it? When your daughter see you as mommy, accept it, so to speak, what does she learn from that? Is that giving them the best platform to grow up into healthy adults?
Absolutely. Okay. Ah, oh Lord.
The
Um,
are hot again.
True. And society has shamed a woman who moves from man to man. So she
Mhm.
stays because we have ostracized the woman when the relationship does not work. We have been brainwashed.
Big up yourself,
So
Stacey.
true.
I love
Big
that.
up yourself, Stacy. Big talk that.
And sometimes we, the women, or the people, are also, we drink the Kool-Aid too. We're also brainwashed. So we
Yes,
hold on to the standard and say, well, stability look like staying with one partner. So me not move. And next thing people go say, me no know what me want and me this and me that. We drink the
especially
Kool-Aid too.
especially if he's a brand name.
Oh, child,
Mm.
that's a whole nother
Oh
body
Lord,
vibe.
that is a whole nother program.
Yes. Because people see the prestige and the popularity as,
Mhm.
as benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Okay, this one is so funny. It's like, Kamala, take our half man away from us. LOL, you are telling the truth.
I'm snatching all of them.
Yes.
Snatching all of the half, the at least. I hate the at least business. Sometimes I catch myself saying, well, at least. I'm just like, why are you settling for the very least? Don't you deserve
Yes.
more than that?
Tammy says trauma affects the brain and your decisions.
Absolutely. Hmm. So for those of us who are looking at maybe people who are in abusive spaces, we could exercise some compassion too, because
Yes.
something has happened to them, in many instances.
All right. Andrea says, how many of us know of families when we were growing where the parents stayed together for many reasons, and
Yeah.
so many of
I guess of us.
us saw that, and some believe it's natural.
Absolutely. And so some people believe that, whether I'm happy or not happy, my happiness is so important. As long as we have the semblance of a unit, then
Yes.
it's.
Carolyn is saying that she can testify to that. It's so true.
Thank you for sharing, Carolyn.
Thank you for sharing, Carolyn. All right. So Stacy says,
Oh,
oh,
you read this
I
one
did that
already.
already. Yes.
Mhm.
Carolyn. Carlington, I do not support abuse in any shape or form. And please note, I did not genderize, not a
Because
word, because it goes both ways.
absolutely, it
Yes,
does.
it,
Mhm.
it does. And we had said that earlier, Carlington,
And
that
it's not only
both,
physical abuse either. That's
right,
important to bear in mind. Hmm.
right. But Kamala, this is such a hot topic because so many people are struggling with their relationships, not knowing how to even get up out of them bed in the morning, to be honest.
Hmm.
Because can I get this off? A new comments, hold on. Somebody says amen, Sandra. Yeah, they don't even know how to, because they don't have anybody to speak to, or they
True.
are afraid to speak. Andrea says action speak more than words
Every
every
time.
time, and it's about consistency.
Hmm.
Yes, I've been hearing that word, that buzzword, in a lot of the talks that I've been watching. They
Hmm.
speak about a lot about consistency, about a mate being there for the person and being consistent, so that the person can learn that they can feel safe in leaning. So, for example, people like me who don't lean very well, I don't lean very well because from my experience is that my father would say he would turn up somewhere and him don't
And
turn up, or he's gonna do this and him don't do it, that kind of thing. And
hmm.
so my leaning, and so that makes me come across as being fiercely independent,
Hmm.
but it's also coming from a place of fear. And because
Absolutely.
you're strong and you're out there and you're doing your thing, people would not ascribe fear to you.
And Sandra, I have heard some men say of strong women that, boy, she not look like say she want a body.
Oh, that's a regular thing. Oh, that's not the norm. That's a regular thing.
Because there is an
You don't need
expectation.
nobody. You don't
Yes,
need nobody. That is a
there is an
regular talk,
expectation that if you're strong, if you're self-sufficient, if you're independent, then that means you have zero need for a man.
which
But
is the furthest thing from the truth.
yes, but also to Sandra, you spoke something very vulnerable just now about the fact that it's based in fear.
Yes.
And I think that whether or not it serves your purposes or our purposes, because many of us have that, fear is never the ideal place,
Right.
from which to launch into abundance of any kind. So we
Right.
keep doing the work because
Right.
fear can really just corrupt everything, you understand? And make us just not thrive in certain areas. So it's important to do the work because fear is not our friend, you
No,
know?
it's not.
It's not our
And it's
friend.
crippling. And so that's why I'm saying that, that's why I brought up earlier about going to get counseling during, before, drama
Always. Yes.
because we're not all equipped with the information
True.
to help ourselves. We weren't brought up in it. We never know it. We never learn it. Some of us have to read it. Some of us have to,
Watch it on Boss Lady Live.
absolutely listen to it at Boss Lady Live or any other forum for that matter. But the bottom line is this has to be done in order for happiness to occur.
Absolutely.
And identifying that you have this problem without shame,
Without judgment.
without judgment, because
And
I did not create my upbringing.
thank
I
you
was
very
brought
much.
up in this particular scenario, right? And so this is what I was given. And so now, in order for me to function fully, I have to now graduate to another level where
Absolutely.
I can now learn about myself, love myself,
Yes.
appreciate myself, and then now become the type of individual that I would like to share myself with.
I love that.
Right? So
Love that.
that's been my work for maybe the last
Your
20
journey.
years. That's been, I mean, when I got to 40, because if I didn't go to counseling, and I want you, my friends, to hear this, because a lot of us shy away from counseling, and that's why I like to invite experts. Counseling is an excellent thing, because when I went to counseling and they pointed out certain things that I could not see because I don't have that skill, right? And I'm living my life the way I know. Nothing is changing because this is all I know. When I now go out and get another viewpoint, when the person says to me, so why are you trying to live your mother's life? And I'm like,
Ooh.
why are you trying to hate your father for your mother? She does not hate him, right? She loves him and she loves him unconditionally. Stop trying to get a different experience from your mother, because it's not going to happen. And because I felt like, he hurt her, and, why does she still love him? That's not my business. That's her life. I have to live my life. And also, what I found out as well is that I kept on setting up myself. So I kept on testing my dad, knowing fully well he was not going to do what he said he was going to do because of my experience. But I kept on
Because guess what,
setting up
Sandra?
myself,
That's the thing
not
about
realizing that's what I was doing.
yes, unconscious repeating of patterns.
Absolutely. And when I saw that, I said, wow. And then when I got to 40, and then I decided to say, you know what? I'm going to take charge of my life. Because at 40, it's just like a light bulb turns on. And I called my dad and I started to have the serious conversation. Not no foolishness, not quarreling about what you never do. And I said to him these words. I said, you will never disappoint me again. I am taking control. And from this moment forward, you will not disappoint me again because my expectation is zero. You see, the minute I said that, I felt like a tumble load came off of my back and I was able to breathe and see my father for who he was and love parts of him, not necessarily the whole, and forgive him and move on. So many people know what is happening with them because they have not sought the information.
And Sandra, think about that pattern repeating in a way where women may be drawn to a man who looks like and behaves like their father, even
Absolutely.
while resenting him off the bat. And then the man doing what the man will do because that's his pattern of disappointing and not being dependable. And then us framing the narrative that is something about me. Is me why I'm not doing so and so. I need to do more. That can be devastating. So I'm so
Absolutely.
happy for you that you were able to stop that cycle. And I fully endorse your point, Sandra, that we don't have a culture, especially in Jamaica, of therapy being, you know, a go-to
Yes.
thing for us. We work hard in
Therapy
our
means something wrong with me.
we work hard in our jobs, we work hard at our jobs, we work hard in our families, but we don't work hard on our emotional and psychological development. What can go, Sandra? So we body look good,
Yes.
we litty, we stay good from now until next year. Nails did, everything start out nice. But inside, we're still 7 years old. We're still literally stuck at the point of our trauma. And we are choosing partners to replay that dolly house.
And to
Recipe
fix
for
us.
that. Eh?
And to fix us. In some cases, we are expecting them to fix us.
Absolutely. Recipe for disaster. So we have to have something to interrupt the mindset and that journey. Absolutely need it.
Okay, welcome, Roger. Roger says, very interesting conversation. Love it. I agree with Kamala. The one can forgive but not forget. Also, one must be themselves and live their own life. It is the only way one can be happy within. Absolutely. Stacey says, "Me afraid of shame. It feels belittling to not be self-sufficient, to depend on a man. I think it came out of seeing women abused who had to depend on men. This made me fearful of that experience. So I ensure daily that I never experience that."
Ensure in all caps. And you know, Sandra, I just want to flag that because I fully understand it. I saw my mother as an independent woman, so I have that streak as well. And this is not trying to belittle a man for having the needs that he has, but men do have, many men, let me be clear, many men have that need of being there for you. And so it's especially when I mention that F word, the fearful part of it, that's never a
Yes,
good place to engage. You
yes,
understand? And
yes.
in a healthy relationship, it's important that we allow people to be there for us, even financially, etc. And so we have to learn how to pivot away from the fear and the pain and to be able to let some people be there for us because otherwise it can cause problems too.
Absolutely. Says, yes, Sandra, me too. I do not know how to lean, so I am always seen as strong. Sometimes too strong a woman, and a few male friends have said that it is intimidating to a man.
And I'm very careful about this intimidating argument, Sandra,
Yes,
because sometimes I've heard this school of thought to say you must ask people, am I intimidating or are you intimidated? There can be a huge difference. And if you're intimidated, maybe it's your issue. Just maybe it's your issue, and maybe you're just not the man for me then. So
right.
we have to be mindful not to. So we have to have the preset standards, Sandra. What you want, what kind of man or woman you want, because and everybody can handle all of what you have and you bring, and that's okay. We're not malice them or bad mind them. But not everybody is your people.
Absolutely. And with that, Kamala, listen, this has been so rich. Everybody
Thank
is
you.
saying that you are the boss, and
Oh my
everybody
God!
wants to know where to find you. So, where can we find Kamala?
So for those of you who are on Instagram, I'm at White Lotus Blooms. That's WHITE Lotus, LOTUS Blooms, right? You can reach out to me by email at whitelotusbloomsja@gmail.com. And you can check my website, whitelotusblooms.com. So I am always talking about relationships. I'm coming out with a book, Sandra. My book is coming out, girl.
Oh,
Let me show you this.
fabulous, fabulous, fabulous,
This is the motto.
fabulous. Ooh, there you
Let me
go, there you go. And where can we get that book?
So,
Or is it
right here.
available yet?
No,
Not yet.
Sandra, you're going to be my contact person. I will give you the
Okay.
information. And for those people who may want to connect with me, like on a mailing list, like you get consistent content, just link Sandra, DM her your email address, and she'll send them to me, and I'll add you to the
Okay.
mailing list.
And what I'm going to do, I'm going to also post your contacts, and so they can watch the replays and they can see it and they can contact you. Listen, people, it's 2020. You need to decide what you want for yourself and not settle in what you don't want. If you want to settle for what a little bit, that is completely up to you. That's your choice as an adult. But we say no settling for 2020. We are
Sandra,
saying, first of all,
20 plenty. That's what I call it.
20 plenty.
Today, at least.
We are saying, what we are saying is, you are fabulous. And if you are not, you need to get fabulous. Right? Because the truth is, some of us are broken. And when I say us, myself included, we need work. You can't take up another partner expecting that he's going to fix you or she's going to fix you. If you know you need work, sort out yourself. There's so much. There is a plethora of information out there. Lots of places you can go. People you can see like Kamala. Just to even have a conversation about what you're going through. You know, shame and fear is real. But happiness is a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Happiness is a choice. Right? So choose you today. Kamala McQuinney, it has been an amazing 2 hours.
Listen.
Can you imagine? It flew by like a minute.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm sure what we'll all have another, I must invite you back.
Yes, I'll be back.
Right? So, you know, when we have another topic with regards to relationships or just send in your request, what you want to talk about. I am here to serve you. We are here to serve you. Let us know what your interests are, what you want to talk about, how can I be a better me?
Yes.
That is it. That's
so
the mantra. But yes, how can I be a better me? What can I do?
I want to share.
Yes.
2 things I want to share with those who are watching too. So one, I created a private Facebook group, Sandra. That's called It's Your Blooming Love Life, right? Yes. And that's one thing.
I have to join that right away.
Listen, I'm going to send you the invite link and you can share
it
with the tribe. And secondly, I am grateful to be the host of Jamaica National's Life Class series.
Oh yes, I would see that.
Wednesday, we're talking about Mars meets Venus, cracking the man code and the woman code. So more great discussions with some leveled up people, and you have to join in if you want more content. So just follow all of us. We're doing a heap of things.
Yes.
And I'm here to support and to spread the message of choosing you, Sandra, and choosing your best life.
Absolutely. And with that, we say good night. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I mean, you guys stuck with us. It's been 2 hours, and I know the 2 hours has flew by. It is so exciting. I'm really enjoying this. Thank you so much, Kamala. Thank you, my Facebook friends. Thank you, my YouTube friends. Thank you, my Instagram friends. Thank you for tuning in. I am deeply grateful for your viewership. We are all here for solution. One love. Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Remember to like and share. Please
and subscribe.
Like and share. Thank you. And subscribe to my YouTube page. Subscribe. Totally Male Spa. Thank you. Good night.